So the next thing I was going to talk about is you've moved to Miami, and so you now have a little bit of a different perspective, seeing the aviation industry in the US kind of firsthand. Now, one of the interesting things is while you've been away, the industry went to hell in a handcart. It all fell apart. And when we were doing this show, we had this idea that you'd have COVID, we'd have all these lockdowns, it would end, and then hopefully we'd all go back to normal. And what we saw, particularly in 2022 was chaos. We had delays, we had cancellations, and then that was due to talent shortage. That was due to a lack of spare parts. I mean, the aircraft were on the ground. One of the interesting things is that here in Australia, or the way it was reported in the media was that this is very much an Australia problem, but of course it wasn't. And we saw these things happen all around the world. What did you see in the US? Were they having similar problems of a scale that we saw here?
It's of a scale that's markedly more severe. I mean, it's still a challenge. I mean, I live in an amazing apartment in Miami. It's a nice apartment, but more importantly, it's right on the center line for the main runway into Miami International Airport. So we get to see all the traffic flying over the apartment, which is great. A little 2-year-old son absolutely loves it. But I fly out of Miami a lot. It's a big hub for American. It's a nice airport. It's, there's like 52 gates just for American there. And yeah, it's just chaos. It's like putting too many sardines into the tin is what it's like. Like everything is hectic there. Security is hectic. It takes forever to get through the security lines. There's a lot of gate hopping. Very rarely are aircraft on time. The levels of service, I mean, you can't even use the word service to explain how it runs. It's just people show up wearing a uniform for the airline. And I mean, the aircraft are very nice. It's quite funny, actually. I fly American just because it's the hub, so there's a lot more flights out of Miami. But every now and again, there's no American flight. So the other day, I flew Delta, and I got to the gate and I looked out and I'm like, oh, it's a 757. I'm like, wow, I've never even flown on a 757 before. I'm like, this is pretty cool. So being a bit of a spotter, I looked at the tail number, and anyway, the tail number was, and the plane I was on was the world's oldest 757 still flying. So here you are with Delta, and Delta has some nice new, they've got A350s and some nice stuff as well. Here you are on the one hand flying the world's oldest still serviceable 757 in an airline, and then you're on American, and you're on the A320LRs, the 737 MAX, brand spanking new airplanes. So it's a real mixed bag. But I mean, I flew, just the other week, I had to fly from Miami to Austin, Texas, and the aircraft couldn't land at Austin, Texas because of the crosswind. There was a huge cold front flying through America. So we diverted, ended up in San Antonio, sat on the plane for 3 hours. We were deplaned 6 people at a time because that's all they could fit in the van. That like this. So when things break there, it kind of breaks. Then we finally got to the gate, hired a car. So the short story is 3 days in a row, I did not get into a hotel before 3 a.m. due to disruptions to the flight schedule. And that was American, that was Spirit, that was Delta, and it was JetBlue by the time I organised all the different flights. So, but to me, the surprise packet over there is JetBlue. It is a really cool airline, super modern. It's that whole 1, 2, 3. You walk into the terminal, has big number 1. You check your bag. Get your boarding pass. Number 2, come over here, drop your bag. Number 3, go to the gate. So, you think about it, and because they're a challenger airline, what you realise is they're coming at it from the layperson who hasn't flown that often. For people like me that fly their whole life, have done for years and years and years, you just you get your bag. And I think that simplicity means that they're getting the gravitation of the community, and they're kind of the thriving airlines. They're new, so they're always at a new terminal. They're always negotiating a new deal. And then the big old legacy carriers that do the government work and are just not keeping up. So it's going to be interesting, I think, over there.
That is,
you could fly an airline without any cabin crew and put like literally wooden seats, and you're going to fill it at the moment over there. It's that buoyant. What's going to be really interesting is if the economy retraces a little bit and there's a bit more competition. It'll be interesting to see who the last man and woman standing is.